Hey guys, welcome to this quick introduction to Octane materials. So in this video, first we'll be creating this PBR texture. We'll look at how to add PBR textures quickly to the universal material, which is equivalent to principal BSDF in cycles. And then we'll look at how to create a metal shader and then add crunch on top of it. And we'll be increasing a little bit complexity, and we'll be creating this plastic material with subsurface scattering, dirt, and roughness variation and all that. So yeah, let's get into the video. All right, let's see how we can start creating those three materials that we saw earlier. So I'll switch to the shading tab. Go to your camera view. So I have this scene already set up. It's 3 Suzanne monkey heads and then a simple backdrop mesh. So first let's add a universal material, and for this one we'll create a PBR, like we'll just see how to add PBR textures to a material. So first things first, once you have, main thing to add to your blender is the Octane Node Wrangler add-on. This you can download this from online. Just search for Node Wrangler Octane and you should see a GitHub link where you can download the add-on from and just install this. So the main reason why we need this add-on is so it makes it so easy to add PBR textures to your model. So you just select the universal material, Control Shift and T, and this will give you basically this works with cycles as well, with cycles as a Node Wrangler add-on too. So that's why it's showing the principal texture setup. So it gives you a pop-up and you just go to your texture location and choose all the textures that you need. So right now we selected the displacement EXR, the normal map, the albedo map, and the roughness map. And boom, it gives you all the texture setup like by itself, which is so much time saving. So yeah, once you have this, let's switch to GGX, and then I'll take down the specular by a lot. And I think you can use over here for the diffuse model. And yeah, right now we have all our setup done, which is pretty cool. Let me rotate this a little bit. Yeah, so you can clearly see that the displacement is not really that intense. So let's fix that. So 0.1 is too much, 0.05. Yeah, I'll leave it here. So this resolution is basically how much subdivision you want in your mesh. So since our textures are a 2K texture, let's just use this 2048 by 2048. And yeah, we have everything set up, like the PBR texture setup. It's super simple because of the Node Wrangler add-on. Otherwise, again, like the principle still stands the same, right? Like if you don't have the add-on, you would just be dragging and dropping all the images, and make sure that all your RGB information, all the images that has the RGB information should have gamma set to 2.2. And then if it's a grayscale image, then the gamma should be 1. So I'll show you the difference. So this is our roughness map. I don't think this is probably a great, yeah. So 2.2 will not give you the entire range of the grayscale image. So 1 will basically give you a whole lot range. So, and another example, like, if you use like metallic materials, like that would be like roughness would make much more sense if we look at the gamma values. But yeah, so the only rule is just make sure the add-on does this automatically, but if you are importing it manually, just make sure you set the gamma to 1 for all your grayscale images. Okay, now let's switch to a slightly simple procedural material. So let's just create a metal material that has a little bit of roughness variation going on here and there. That'll look nice. So I've added a universal material. I've put the metalness to 1, switch the specular model to GGX energy preserving. And then for color, I'll use a little bit of yellowish tint to the base color. actually slightly more. Let's do 0.16 on the saturation. Yeah. And then I have this one image. If you have watched my other tutorials, you probably might have seen me use this. So it's a texture called dirt thin. This is a grunge that I use a lot. So let me bring this in. So to preview images, yeah, I forgot to say this. So to preview images, you just Control Shift and left click. Not just images, but any node that you have. Like if it's previewable, you just hit Control Shift and left click the node and it will preview the image. So again, since this is a grayscale image, we need the entire range. So let's switch the gamma to 1. You'll see that it looks weird, but this is how it's supposed to look. And then let me add a UV transform. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Yeah. And then finally, I'll add a gradient map in the end. So this is going to give you a lot more control, the gradient map. And then we'll plug this into the roughness map. And yeah, there you have a very nice grunge map on your metal. So we don't want fully black, so I'll push this up a little bit. And then let's get some contrast going on. Yeah, there you go. You have your nice metalness, procedural texture. And maybe let's not keep it fully white. Yeah, so this is ideally how you would build your, procedural setups. So yeah, you bring in an image, or if you're using an inbuilt noise, you can just since we're using a external image, ideally it's probably not the most procedural setup, but still the principle stands the same, right? Like so this is just, this one will easily get you a very good result. So that's why we're using an external image. So right now we're using UV projection. So let's say if you don't have UV in your model, there's an awesome box projection option. And so you just bring in the box projection node and you plug it into the textures projection, and that will give you a box projection. You can see the seam slightly here and there, but it won't be that much visible in the render, so we can just ignore it. So yeah, this is how you set up a basic procedural-ish material. So here let's get a little bit into proceduralism. So we'll build our plastic material, like a grungy, dirty plastic material on this. And for this, I'll use another shader called the standard surface, because the standard surface, the subsurface scattering is a little bit easier to do this here. So we'll look at what subsurface scattering does very shortly. So for this first, I'll isolate this. Yeah. Okay, so basically, let me bring in a RGB color, which is going to be where we choose our color. Let me choose a nice blue color for now. So since we need dirt, let's add the dirt texture, and then let me increase the strength. This is basically the ambient occlusion, but yeah, a little bit more advanced than the ambient occlusion node. So let's add this. Now to bake this up, let's use the RGB image, the dirt thin. So if you guys want this texture, should be available in either Substance Painter or Designer. You can save this out from either of those software. So let's add the RGB image here. And if you add this to the radius map, like this will break up those details. Yeah, you can see this, right? Like, so this is exactly what we need. So let me give this a little bit more strength. Yeah, and I'll add a gradient map in there to have a little more control over this. And we push in the white to bring some contrast, and I'll make this. So it's the grayscale, yeah. And now if we multiply our color with this grunge, you would get, yeah, this sort of result, which is exactly what we need for our dirt. And there you go. I mean, not there you go, but we have our base color done. So we still need to edit a lot of other parameters, but yeah, we have like a pretty nice base color going on now. We can edit this, like maybe bring down the radius and have a higher strength. Something like this. Yeah, I like this more. The contrast is not too much, but yeah, we still have a lot of grunges going on here and there. So yeah, let's use this. So for roughness, I am going to repurpose this. So let's take this through a gradient map. And so we want the dirt to be actually white so that it's not reflective. So let's invert this. Obviously, this is very, yeah, something like this. Let me plug it into the specular roughness and see how it looks. Yeah, we're already getting a pretty good result. But again, let's repurpose our dirt thin texture to actually add some more roughness here and there. Go. So I'll bring in a multiply, or let's add this. Yeah, let's add this. Add texture. And then let me throw in a gradient map here to, and this added texture will go into our roughness. There we go. Okay, there's some really nice results going on. I really like this roughness, so let me turn the light slightly. Yeah. So yeah, we have pretty good dirt roughness done. So now let's look at subsurface. Subsurface is basically the phenomena of light passing through a material. So plastic, like thin plastic materials, you can see if you look at like Lego, if you throw it in front of a light, you can see light passing through it. So that is what subsurface does. So let's use the same color for subsurface color and radius. Let me expand this a little bit so you can see the name. So yeah, now you have subsurface going on. It's super easy to set up. That's the reason why we're using standard surface, because it's easier to set up here. So maybe we can just increase the weight a little bit, something like this. I feel like the roughness, the blacks in the roughness is a little too much. So let me play around with that. Yeah, I like this even more. Subsurface seems a little too much. Yeah. So this is without any subsurface, and here this is with subsurface. To demonstrate this, let me quickly add a light. So you see this a little bit better. Light, Octane, sphere light. Any light would work. And we put this behind our mesh and increase the emission. So if you see this, like you can see the light passing through this, right? Like, so the ears were there. Yeah. Ears, basically the thickness is very low, so you can see the light passing, extremely highly, and then wherever the thickness is higher, you can see light slightly passing so that the color actually becomes lighter. So this is what subsurface does. And this is something you will see in like thin cheap plastics. So yeah, let's add that. Now we have our subsurface. And one more thing with plastics is, it'll have these tiny, tiny bumps that if you look really close into it. So let's add that with a noise texture. So let me bring in a noise texture. I'll add a transform node. And then let's make this super small. At 0.03. Yeah. I guess this is good. Let's just add a gradient map so we have a little bit more control. And let's throw this into the bump. Yep. I don't know if you can see this through the YouTube compression, but we have very nice, teeny, tiny little bumps all over our model. So this is exactly what we want. And yeah, if you look at it, this is our material, plastic material. We can bring down the subsurface slightly. Yeah. There you go. Like we have, this is again still, since we're using an external image, maybe we cannot call this completely procedural, but still, you know, this works, right? This is a procedural setup that, gives you. So best part is, right, like you can, whatever model you have, if you use this, like it'll automatically bring all this setup to that as well, right? Like, so, what else can I add? So maybe a gear. Let's add a little bit bevel to this. They don't have hard ups installed. Yeah, I have this and material 02. So this is automatically going to give you the dirt wherever, like it occludes and all that. So which is pretty awesome, right? Like, so you can quickly reuse this material on any other model and get super high details on it. So that's the entire point of having procedural materials. So yeah, I guess this should have given you a pretty good idea of how the material system works in Octane. So let me down in the comments below if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions regarding the video, or just in general regarding 3D. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you liked the video or found it informative. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye and take care.